The slaughterhouse sat 2 kilometers outside Puerto Deseado, a wind-cut town at the edge of southern Argentina where the ocean smelled like iron and dead seals. Nothing lived long here. Things dried, cracked, and were forgotten. The building was old, concrete walls sweating salt, rust bleeding from every bolt. It processed sheep mostly, lamb for export, pink vacuum-packed innocents shipped north so people wouldn't have to think about where meat came from. Inside, thinking wasn't encouraged. I worked sanitation, night shift, hose down crew. We came in after the killing was done, after the screams, after the shuddering legs, after the knives had done their quiet work. Blood never fully washed away. It soaked into the grooves cut into the floor over decades. Warm water just made it steam. On my first night, the foreman told me, "If you hear chewing, ignore it. Rats." He didn't smile. The smell hit you before the door even shut behind you. Hot fat, wet wool, metal, and underneath something sweet and rotten like fruit left in a closed car. I worked with Mateo, 10 years in the plant, scarred hands, quiet. He chewed sunflower seeds constantly. "Don't go near cold room 3, he said. "Why? They're still cleaning." The chewing started around 2:40 a.m., not loud. Rhythmic, wet, not rats. I stood still, hose spraying water uselessly at a blood-stained wall. The sound came from behind me, from the direction of cold room 3. Chew, pause. Swallow, I followed it. Cold room 3's door was open an inch. Cold fog spilled out like breath. The smell was overwhelming now, raw meat left too long in heat. I pushed the door. There were no sheep carcasses hanging from the hooks. Instead, there were people. Arms skinned down to red muscle, hanging by meat hooks punched through wrists. A torso split open, ribs sawn apart, organs removed with surgical neatness except for the stomach, which bulged and twitched. On the floor, Mateo. His legs were gone, not cut, chewed, bone ends crushed and sucked clean of marrow. His abdomen was open, intestines dragged out and piled beside him. He was still alive. His eyes rolled toward me. His mouth opened. Don't, something rose behind him. A man stepped into the light, barefoot, naked, skin gray and stretched tight over a swollen frame. Veins crawled across his belly, pulsing. His jaw hung wrong, teeth broken, sharpened by grinding bone. He was chewing Mateo's thigh. When he saw me, he didn't stop. He smiled, meat hanging from his lips, and swallowed. Then he stood. His stomach moved, not digestion. Shapes pressed outward from inside. I heard tearing, wet ripping. The skin split open slowly. Inside were faces, human faces embedded in muscle and fat, eyes open, mouths chewing, teeth clacking uncontrollably. One of them was Mateo's wife. I recognized her mole. The man grabbed Mateo by the head and shoved it into the open abdomen. The faces bit, not clean. They tore, chewed, stripped skin from skull. Mateo screamed until his jaw was ripped away. The man pressed him deeper, forcing his torso inside. The abdomen sealed with a sucking sound. Then he looked at me. I ran. The slaughterhouse was empty at dawn. No blood, no bodies, every surface scrubbed clean. Authorities blamed cartel activity, then animal attacks, then structural collapse. The plant shut down. I told them everything. They said trauma causes hallucinations. 3 weeks later, the hunger started. Steak didn't work. I stayed empty. I craved texture, cartilage, tendons, resistance when bone cracked between teeth. I woke up chewing my own tongue. Blood tasted right. My abdomen ached constantly, pressure from inside like something rearranging organs. I lost weight everywhere except my stomach. I followed the smell. Another facility. Another isolated plant. A night guard barely looked up. He smelled incredible. I don't remember attacking him. I remember chewing, bone cracking, warmth flooding my mouth. My stomach opened without pain. It felt correct. Now there are faces inside me. They don't scream anymore. They chew when I'm hungry. The more I feed them, the quieter they get. The world calls it disappearances, missing persons, industrial accidents. We call it harvest.
The village of Moringa Bonga did not appear on any map. It sat deep in the red belly of Africa, where the soil stained feet like dried blood, and the trees whispered even when there was no wind. At night the drums did not beat for celebration, they beat for counting. 1, 2, 3. Every beat meant someone still alive. The elders said the drums were tradition. The children knew better, because when the drums stopped, someone vanished. No scream, no struggle, just an empty sleeping mat, still warm, still smelling of sweat and fear. Flies gathered before dawn. They always knew first. Mosi was 17 when his younger sister Aya went missing. Her mat lay untouched. Her anklet lay snapped as if bitten through. There were drag marks leading toward the forest, thin, neat, like fingers pulling meat from bone. The elders burned herbs and said nothing. That night the drums beat slower. Mosi followed the drag marks at sunrise. The forest swallowed sound. Birds refused to sing. Even insects kept quiet as if listening. Half a mile in he found the tree of offerings. Bones hung from its branches, small bones. Too small, some were polished smooth. Others still wore bits of dried skin like old leather. Flies crawled inside hollow eye sockets. At the base of the tree lay a bowl filled with black paste. It smelled sweet and rotten. Mosi gagged. Inside the paste floated fingernails, teeth, a piece of ear. He recognized the ear. Io's gold stud still pierced through it. The drums began again, from deep underground, not beaten by hands, but by something breathing. That night Mosi confronted the elders. They sat in a circle, faces painted with ash, eyes sunken like graves. The forest must be fed, the oldest one whispered. Fed what? Mosi screamed. Silence, then laughter, wet, phlegmy. They lifted their robes. Underneath their legs were wrong, swollen, split, with mouths where knees should be. Those mouths chewed slowly, grinding bone, swallowing marrow. The village lives because it eats, the elder said. Mosi ran. Behind him the drums changed rhythm, faster, hungry. Something followed, not walking, crawling inside the soil. Mosi hid inside the old grain pit. The smell hit first, rot, iron, human waste. Then the sound, scraping, nails on stone. A face pressed against the pit opening. No eyes, just stretched skin with teeth pushing from beneath. The skin split, a mouth opened sideways. Inside were children's tongues stitched together, writhing. It spoke using all of them at once. Your sister tasted sweet. Mosi vomited. The thing laughed and slid back into the earth, leaving trails of blood and worms. The drums stopped. At dawn the village gathered. Every missing child stood among them, alive but emptied. Their bellies sagged. Their eyes leaked black fluid. Their mouths whispered words that weren't theirs. Io stepped forward. Her stomach moved, as if something inside her was chewing. We keep it inside us now, she said calmly. It grows, and when it is full, her jaw unhinged. Something crawled out, slick and red, dragging organs behind it like ropes. The drums began again. Mosi tried to run. Hands grabbed him, too many fingers, too many joints. They forced him down, held his mouth open. The creature slid inside him, cold, then burning. He felt it bite his ribs, chew his lungs, nest in his chest. The elders smiled. You will drum next. Days passed. Mosi could no longer sleep. Every breath scraped. He felt hands beating inside him, using his ribs. At night, villagers placed sticks against his chest. Boom, boom, boom. His heartbeat was the drum. Children disappeared again. Mosi watched himself rot, skin peeling, eyes sinking. But the thing inside grew strong. It whispered names, your name, my name. It said it was old, older than hunger, older than death. It said the village was just a mouth. Years later, travelers hear drums in the forest. They follow the sound. They find bones in trees, empty villages, warm sleeping mats, and somewhere underground a man still breathing, still beating, still feeding. Boom, boom, boom. The drums never stop.